G'day guys and welcome to Ask a Pathfinder's review series. Today we're going to be reviewing Pathfinder's 2nd edition playtest. Let's get into it! Alright guys, first and foremost, this is not going to be a how-to series. The reason being is it is a playtest. There's going to be tons of erratas, tons of people on the forums and people talking about it. And if you want to learn how to play it, pick up a free copy of the playtest yourself, have a read of it, and if you have any troubles, head on over to our Discord chat, which the link will be in the description below. And yeah, come chat with us and we'll see if we can help you out personally. In the meantime, however, I'm going to be expressing just some of my thoughts and some of my feedback from the system as of today. So, what have I done since the beginning of the playtest and obviously this video? Well, obviously I did the big countdown and flip through of the, the rules and the bestiary when they first came out. Not great videos, mind you, but, I felt like doing them for fun. And then immediately afterwards, I ran a pickup game, just a custom adventure that you can go and watch on the How to Be a Great Game Master channel or obviously on my own YouTube channel. The links to both of those videos will be in the description below. And beyond that, I've played the Doomsday Dawn adventure that is provided with the playtest. I've played maybe 3 games so far of that, going on to a 4th, hopefully by the time this video publishes. So I've played quite a bit now, and I've experienced a lot from the seat of a GM. I have yet to play it yet, but I have built a whole bunch of characters, I've sort of run through little mock scenarios, and obviously I've run my games, and this, and all the opinions I have at this point are all based on just that experience. So if you're looking for experience for how I feel as a player, well, sadly I don't have one yet, but if you want to GM me, let me know, because I'd love to play. Alright. First of all, let's talk about some core concepts, okay? Number 1, proficiency. Now, I like the concept of proficiency, but I don't like the execution. Proficiency is a great idea. It is one of those things that allows us to be able to identify people who are trained, who are masters of their craft. Not only that, but they've also managed to make some sort of similarity between saving throws, AC bonuses, attack bonuses, all in the name of proficiency. What I don't like about it is I feel like the way they've done it is they've stripped back versatility. So your strength as a character, I feel, is nowhere near as consequential as just what level you are. Your ranks or your expertise in something, because you have taken the time to put points into a particular skill, are again dwarfed by the bonuses that you are provided simply by leveling up. I think that what this does, while it, obviously keeps everything streamlined and removes the need for such complicated things as base attack and ranks and all that other stuff, what it does is it removes that versatility for you to be able to customize your character. Instead, it's like, well, okay, cool, I've spent this feat or I've spent this thing and my skill goes up by 1. Awesome. Everyone is leveled up, so, we all get 1 anyway. So what's the point? I'm not a massive fan of the proficiency execution, but I love the idea that they're all streamlined and that the more you train in something, the more benefit you get from it. I wish that that was more of a thing rather than just the static number, or I wish that the proficiency level played a lesser impact. Like if it was like half proficiency instead of full, that would also feel a lot better for me. What it does is it makes some of the DCs, which, by the way, the DCs I think are great, a little bit redundant. Like trying to jump 10 foot in the air is a DC 30, which means you could have a strength of 60. But if you're a level 1 character, you'll never make it unless you roll a natural 20. And even then, just pushing it. So that being said, that's kind of how I feel about proficiency. Action economy. I love the action economy. I love the fact that there are 3 actions that you can take at any given time in any different combination in order to take your turn. Nothing kind of irritated me more than sort of not being able to sort of reassess your situation when things go pear-shaped. If you're in melee with someone and you attack something and you go, that did no damage, I'm going to take a move action to run away. Attack of opportunity, you get penalized, you get punished, and it was terrible. It was horrible if you made a mistake. Whereas I feel like this new version is a lot more forgiving, where your action economy now goes into I run forward and I attack. Huh, okay, I didn't do anything. I'm going to run backwards. And oh, okay, you don't have attack of opportunity. I'm okay. You know, you can test the waters. You can explore in a more cinematic sense what it is to be in your own combat encounter. So like I said, huge fan of that. Plus, the spellcasting and having all of those associated maneuvers, the somatic, the verbal, and the material components all being part of that action economy, for me, just makes everything so much more cinematic. And I like that as an idea. If they keep anything, I think they're nail on the head with the action economy currently. All right, next one. Now, I'm not going to say good things about this, so, you know, be prepared for that. Is my thoughts on ancestry and background. Backgrounds, brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Replace traits. There are so many traits, oh my god, and they're also hyper-specific and give you such pathetic bonuses. I am so glad that they went with what is effectively themes from Starfinder and made it backgrounds, and those are exciting, and those are cool, and those are interesting, and I can't wait to play a whole bunch of different characters inspired by these different backgrounds. The ancestry progression. Now, saying something good, I like the fact that there's a hit point associated with it. I hate the fact that you progress in order to progress your race. For me, that just doesn't sit right. I mean, think of it this way. If you start the adventure as a teenager going out on his first journey, that kind of makes sense. You hit puberty, you start getting new abilities, and you start doing stuff. Makes perfect sense. If you are, however, say, Ezran, the iconic human wizard, and you set out at level 1, it kind of doesn't really make much sense as to why all of a sudden you've started developing new powers as a, you know, as your particular race. I don't like it. I think it should just go back to being, this is the race, this is what it gets, the end. You know, make it as least complicated as possible. You know, it's one of those things you don't need to be, you know, able to have that kind of versatility. And as for the archetypes and stuff like that, if you can use archetypes to replace class features, you can use alternate racial traits. There's nothing wrong with it. Speaking of things that aren't wrong and are somehow trying to be fixed, initiative is one of these things on my list where I feel like they're trying to fix a problem that Pathfinder doesn't have. Initiative is fine. Everyone at the start of combat rolls the same thing, they get the base result, and then they take their order. I understand the very, very interesting idea of being able to stealth and then rolling stealth when you are hidden, or rolling in acrobatics while you're climbing, and all of these other exciting and fun things. But what it has done, in my games at least, it has slowed down the process of trying to figure out when people go. That's all it's actually done. If I announce, roll initiative, everyone rolls, and then I get everyone's score. If I say, all right, you're going to roll perception, you're going to roll stealth, you're going to roll perception, what were you doing? Okay, well, yeah, okay, you can roll, let's just say a law check, you know, probably not law, but you know what I mean? Like, it eats up time. It just chews through it, and it doesn't need to be there. So, yeah, initiative. Keep it the way it is. Don't fix a problem that doesn't exist. All right, guys, and the last of the big core concepts that I know you guys are waiting for me to talk on is resonance, okay? Now, I'm going to be short on this because I feel like everyone is currently saying the exact same thing, and my short version is get rid of it. Get rid of it not because it's bad. Get rid of it because it's not good. Get rid of it because it's not adding anything to the game. It doesn't further the enjoyment of your session. It doesn't make something suddenly more entertaining or interesting. It gives you another point of things to be able to try and track and keep score of as you are playing, and then penalize you, especially if you're trying to be penalized for using consumable items, which people are already unpleasantly hating of consumable items. Even when you give them to them for free, people sit there and go, oh, okay, I'm going to hang on to this because this is pretty precious. You know, I don't want to drink this. Only in a dire emergency, and I've used up all my spells, and the moon is, you know, a full moon, and you know, that's when I'll maybe drink something. Yeah, resonance points, they don't add anything to the game. They are just an added complication that doesn't need to exist. All right, what were my thoughts on classes? Admittedly, as I mentioned before, I have not played any classes, so I have no strong opinions on the balancing between the classes. The only thing I do have to say about this, though, is, number one, spellcasting has received a lot of love. Characters like the Bard as well have just made it so that it's no better time to be a spellcaster. With the action economies the way they are, with meta magic and heightening spells, making everything a lot more accessible. I really look forward to playing my first spellcaster, and I hope you guys who have managed to do so leave a ton of feedback, telling not only me but Paizo all of the things that you think are really enjoyable about spellcasting, so that at least manages to stay the same. The one thing I want to add in, because I really like to see this happen, is I want to see the Paladin change. I don't want to see it gone. I want to see it basically become a cleric. By this I mean rename it. Call it the Templar. Call it a Crusader. Call it a Knight. Whatever the case may be, make it something that isn't a Paladin. Because everyone is still going on about how Paladins are lawful good and they're stupid. If that's the case, don't stick to it. I understand it's core from Pathfinder and you want to bring it across. I get that. But I've had so many people turn to me and say, well, this is an argument everyone has said and everyone's brought this up already, but nothing will change. Nothing will change because people will talk like that. If you want it to change, riot, picket, raise your pitchforks and say, no, we don't want the Paladin. Give us something else. Give us something generic that will be defined on their oath to whoever they don't dedicate themselves to. You have an oath to Asmodeus? Very well. You have all the negative feats and you are basically an anti-paladin. You are dedicated to Shaylin? Good. Excellent. You have all the paladin stuff. You are just called a Templar of Shaylin, or a Crusader of Shaylin, or a Crusader of Asmodeus. And that works so much better. I mean, you already have the anathemas written there. It's already in place from the cleric's abilities. So there's no reason why it's a bad idea. You have nothing but gain to be had from this decision. So anyway, sorry, my pod. I've been dealing with a lot of people who've been shutting down this idea, who have thought it's a good idea. So, all right. Moving on. Thoughts on skills. Again, I think the skills are okay. I like the idea of the fact that they actually do have the training stuff that progresses them, and that as a GM you can deny people based on their expertise. If you are not an expert, you cannot make this roll. It's a good way to kind of keep it in balance, but at the same time, that puts a lot of pressure on the GM because it no longer becomes a tangible feature of the game. If you do not have a trained rank in knowledges in first edition, you cannot make it. And that's just the rule. Whereas if you can't make the check because the GM says only experts can, then you kind of point the finger at the GM, and then you have players who turn around and go, oh, well, why did you suggest this? There's no rule that says that this has to happen, so why are you being such a, that's what you kind of want to avoid, I guess. So I like the idea, but at the same time, I'm optimistically cautious about it. Feats. All right, look, feats are very basic to begin with. They are a wide variety of really nice, tasty things that you can kind of get a little bit of a sample from. But one thing that makes me super happy is there is no point blank and precise shot that you must take in order to shoot. There's no penalty for firing into melee. That makes me very happy. I think in terms of the value, they are well balanced, but it's hard to say, only because obviously the game has been out for a week and it's difficult. The only thing I do have to say is that you want to make sure that you read the feats carefully, because there are some very vague terms in there that I think have a lot of implied rules attached to it, but no standing rules to it. One such feat is called the Inventor feat, which basically says that you can create a formula you don't know. So I've had players basically say, I want a formula that creates Obscuring Mist. And it's like, well, okay, I guess. Whatever the case may be, just make sure that, you keep reading them and you keep, sending your feedback as to whether or not you want rules clarification on particular feats, or if you think some feats are just well and truly overpowered. Next up is equipment and wealth. Now, I've got to say, I'm very happy about the way they handle the economy. Everything being converted to silver is such a strong way to run the game, because nothing is more confusing as to why people walk around with buckets and kingdoms worth of gold. Having it convert down a notch simply to just say, oh yes, well, it's moved down to silver, is a simple but incredibly effective way to restore the economy to that semblance of sense. So I'm quite happy with that. Now, if my editor is so generous, hopefully he will place somewhere here-ish a table of wealth that you progress with as you level. This, ladies and gentlemen, is silly. It is a table that indicates exactly how much a group should have at any given time, which means you've placed the fault on the GM to be able to split these up or divvy it up as the party would. Now, the gold, easy. That's easy. It's divisible by 4. Fantastic. I know exactly how much we need to give. And look, you've even said additional characters. So you divide it by 4, and then any additional characters, you gain that. Fantastic. It's wonderful. What is this list next to it that says consumable items and magic items? Like, oh, sorry, permanent items. For me, it's like, well, okay, I get what they are, but like, so I can't have first level items if I'm a 10th level character. I can't, you know, what happens to all this stuff? You know, if you create a brand new character, you should try and keep it as simple as possible. Have the table just tell you what each character should have. I don't know why this table exists, and it can go away now. Okay. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of the wealth progression, or at least how they've set it out. Item quality, however, is awesome. Item quality is amazing. I am so happy with this because nothing irritated me more than trying to build an item, a magic item nonetheless, and you had to spend all of your money and all of your time and all of your effort just giving it a static bonus of like a +1. For me, +1 in anything is not worth it. So having it be the item's quality that determines these static bonuses give you plenty of options to then be able to enchant it with magic abilities, magic powers, and make them unique. This, along with the action economy, are the 2 major things that I love about Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And I can't wait to kind of sink my teeth into a player character that can actually use these things. Can you guys read my passive-aggressive, somebody invite me to play? Okay. Next up, how did I handle spellcasting? Well, look, I think the spellcasting stuff is really great. As I mentioned when I was talking about classes, spellcasters have a lot of love. There are now 4 distinct lists, which are Arcane, Divine, Occult, and Primal. I think divvying them up that way was a strong move. It means that when you introduce other things like the Occultist, the Psionic, the, whatever, you don't have to get to that point where they're working off class spell lists rather than, a full collaborative spell list. Heightening spells, again, keeping your spells relevant at all stages is awesome and is just going to make the game much more easy and make sure there's a lot less dead space or dead abilities on your sheets. And lastly, disrupting and counterspelling is a lot more streamlined, and I really dig that. I think one of the hardest things to do is obviously be able to disrupt spellcasters without obviously using an attack of opportunity. Because for the most part, you walk up to them and they go, cast defensively. Oh, I lost my spell. Or they go, I cast defensively. Whereas being able to sort of counterspell them or ready actions to sort of give them a whack on the head and disrupt their abilities is a useful method of engaging in both an active spell and martial type combat. So I'm very happy with that. Speaking of martial combat, sorry, just to kind of trail back a little bit, I like the fact that combat maneuvers have been absorbed into athletics. So if you want to trip, if you want to grapple, if you want to bull rush or anything like that, it's now an athletics check. I think that's awesome. That should have always been the case. Go Paizo! All right, and the last thing I'll sort of review is the exploration and downtime. I've done the exploration stuff. I think it's great. I love the fact that there is now just a firm and fixed, if your speed is this is how long it takes you to go places and do things. I love the fact that they go, here are some ideas for what you can do while you're traveling, and here's some stuff that you can interact with, and here's some stuff that you can do skill checks with. That is just fun. That is just pure fun. And I've had a lot of fun with that. If you go to my Facebook page, there is actually a playthrough that I did for one of the Doomsday Dawn adventures, and we did a little bit of the exploration stuff there. And it was fun. It was actually great. As for the downtime stuff, I'll admit firsthand, I haven't actually explored this too greatly. But I will do so and hopefully put up something on Facebook or whatever to give you an idea of how I felt about it once I actually sit down and do it. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, that's one thing Ask a Pathfinder has never done. I've never skewered the truth. What you guys get is pretty much exactly how I feel about things. All right. So, my big TLDR. Now, hopefully I will have a little link that'll jump to this period of time, so if you don't want to watch all that sort of stuff, you can get the crux of what I have to say. A lot of people expect me to say that Pathfinder 2nd Edition is a miracle. It is awesome, it is amazing, and I'm going to convert, and I'm going to tell everyone to convert to it, and blah, 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 blah. This is not true. While I think that there are some incredibly strong parts to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I think it's lost something major. And it's hard to describe what that is. Pathfinder's 1st Edition and even Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition stand as islands amidst a torrent of RPG options out there. You could play any kind of adventure you want. There's Warhammer RPGs, Firefly RPGs, there are sci-fi ones, there are high fantasy, dark fantasy, horror games, Cthulhian. With everything out there, Pathfinder boasts the most versatile and complex RPG available currently. Dungeons & Dragons has a strong history with some simple, easy to understand, and very vivid narrative rules that exist within their game. This doesn't stand out to me, and that's dangerous. And now, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm not saying it's crap. I'm not doing any of that. I'm saying that I am still looking for that something special. That's something that makes it stand out. That's something that makes me go, this is going to be what I want to play as an RPG. And I've yet to find that. The advice I've got for Paizo, if anything, is that a 2nd edition needs to be more than just trying to iron out creases and pander to the fans. This is a project of passion for you guys, and I respect that. I mean, Ask a Pathfinder is nothing but a project of passion. I want it to succeed, and I really, really want it to stand out. But I want to tell them, don't fall into shadows. Don't do what's safe just because it's safe. Give players the ability to experience and make mistakes and create things. Don't be afraid to tell them this is just how this goes, right? This is how this class progresses. If you want something different, here are a billion options to make it different, right? What you shouldn't be doing. Actually, you know what? I'll give you guys an anecdote because I'll give you guys an anecdote because I love the anecdote things. It is like playing an RPG is like traveling on a river. If you are on a boat, in a kayak, following the stream as your character's adventure unfolds, it is an amazing experience. You enjoy the luxuries of the world around you, you enjoy the adventure, and you enjoy your travels. If I were to liken 2nd Ed to this, it was like you have arrived at the river with a build-your-own-canoe, and then once you've done so, you have the option at any given point to get out, pick up your shovel, and dig a new river. Now, while that allows you to explore more of the landscape, it's not necessarily the best way to enjoy your trip downriver. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more stuff from me. If you want to come and check out some of the other stuff I've been doing, head on over to Facebook. I haven't done a blog this week because I did the playtest, and I'll probably do that next week as well. But I do normally do like blogs and reviews and things like that. And if you've got any questions for me, head on over to Discord at discord.me/askapathfinder, where I will hopefully help you in any and all of your RPG problems. I am, of course, your very personal GM for hire, so don't be afraid to ask me. And when I say hire, I mean that very loosely, because all of my advice and all of my services at current, except for obviously running games, is completely free. So all my advice and stuff like that is free. And of course, if you want to help support me and offer donations and things like that, head on over to our Patreon, whereas for as little as $1 a month, you can help us make Ask a Pathfinder bigger, better, and way more awesome. And there is also something special coming up, as I will be doing a Pathfinder 2nd Ed campaign for my Mythic tier Patreon. So that is a $60 Patreon per month investment, and you will be invited to join me at a table for a weekly game as we go through a custom adventure that I have already started alluding to, which again, if you head to the description below, you can go and check out the some of the prelude video to that. Till next time, guys, as always, from us here at Ask a Pathfinder, make sure that you keep your dice rolling and make sure your ideas stay mindworm free. Have a good one, guys.